everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Afterthoughts. We are the Afterthoughts. We're going to discuss our afterthoughts on various topics, and we're just uploading them for possible entertainment value. That is it. This is all just opinions. We are four grown adults, smart, dumb idiots. We're just here to talk. I am Grape Soda, also known as Brian. I'm one of the four hosts of the Afterthoughts, and now my other hosts will introduce themselves.
Hello.
Yo.
I am Ziggity Zach.
I didn't know.
Were we supposed to go around in a circle?
Yeah, I didn't know who was going.
You're already fucking it up.
Sure. We'll go
We can
Alex,
clip
Erick,
this.
Zach.
Okay.
Alex, Erick, Zach. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
We're going in alphabetical order. That's
All
nice.
right. Okay. Fair enough. Greetings. My name is Alex.
Green team.
Yes. Part of this podcast. Excited to be here. Hopefully we can say truthful things, but some things we might say might not be the total truth. But yeah, here to bring good vibes and maybe a little bit more enlightenment.
Yo, what's up?
done.
Yeah, I figured you were done. Yeah, yo, what's up, people of the world? I'm Eric, also known as Cant online. Yeah, I'm a musician most of the time. Sometimes I make beats. Sometimes I record people. It's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm here to have fun, say my piece on some things, hopefully get my messages out, people. Yeah, that's about it. Zach.
Oh, sorry, I was spacing out. Sorry. My name is Zach, otherwise known as Ziggity Zach on the attack. You can call me Sir. So,
Okay, sir.
I'm happy to be part
Yes,
of the
sir.
podcast. Pleased to meet you all, and all that good stuff.
Aye, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Now that we have introduced ourselves properly to any listeners that we might have, our first topic for our first episode is going to be the universe. Alex and I have some expertise in the universe, and we're just going to take all that existential dread that we know of and just pump it into Erick and Zach, so that way they can also be scared from time to time about the universe.
They're going to indoctrinate us for
Yep.
an hour and a half.
Yes.
Are we gonna become Scientologists?
No.
Hell no.
Hell no. Yes, exactly.
Nah, dude.
No.
That's what they're trying to convince
I'm
us.
not-
I know it, bro.
Okay. Yeah.
Nah, dude.
Yes.
They won't convince.
You
They won't
can't make
convince me
me
to
be
side
Tom
with Danny
Cruise.
Macedon or whatever his name was.
Have you even heard of like what Scientologists believe?
Me?
Yeah, it's nuts. You can search on YouTube
Yeah,
a South Park
crazy.
clip of it. It's
And all
insane.
Yeah, it's been ridiculed so much.
All these emotions you
popular
have,
media.
all the sadness you have is spirits of these thetans that have attached themselves to you. Okay. Sure.
How do I?
You
Oh
can't
wait.
make
So
me
how
be
do?
Tom Cruise, man.
Wait. So how do I get them out of me? Oh, that's easy. Spend $100,000.
Yeah, spend.
Yo,
yeah,
flat
give us your
Earth
money.
is pretty crazy.
Give us your money.
Flat Earth
We'll-
theory.
yeah.
I mean, we can start from flat Earth and work up if you want to talk about philosophy
Yeah,
and space.
anything you guys
Yo,
have
flat
like
Earth
questions
is
about the
real.
universe.
You can't convince me otherwise.
Well, the fact that there are people, who believe this is, it's interesting.
Yeah, but the moment you
Nonetheless.
bring
Flat
up a
Earth is
point
real, man.
like to what they said, they'll give you a complete another false information that completely contradicts what they just said.
Do you guys
They
remember when
they
that
do
guy-
experiments that contradict what they believe.
Yeah.
And then they're
I
just
know.
like,
Do you remember when that
huh,
guy? was
I
on
don't know why
video?
that happened. It's like,
Yeah,
because
that
the
was
earth
funny.
is curved.
That was funny. I
Ah.
watched that video.
Well, we used to think, here's a crazy thought. We used to think that the Earth was the center of the solar system.
Yeah.
Center of the universe, even.
Center of the
Not so
universe.
long ago. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was like what, 200 years ago?
I don't know
200
actually the
years ago?
time in history, but
Pretty sure.
Probably
What do you
should.
mean
Like,
200 years ago? Wait.
it'd be like 1800s, 200 years ago.
Oh. Oh,
Long
it would
time
be
ago.
1800 years ago.
No,
In the year of 200 AD.
might have
maybe
been
it was like
Galileo.
1400s. Maybe it was like 1400s because I know Galileo had to be alive.
Yeah.
Late 16th century.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like.
Yeah, it was gradually superseded by the heliocentric
400
model of
years ago, then.
Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler. And wasn't Copernicus
Galileo.
literally
Yeah.
burned at the stake for believing that the
Yeah.
sun was the center of the solar system?
Right. Well, it was
They threw
biblical
him in
because
prison,
you know
and then I think they killed him.
there was a lot of speculation, dude. Through
Yeah.
history, people have like debated shit over time.
Yeah,
It's
but
like, yeah,
the reason why they
Yeah.
did that to him was because at that point, you saying that was basically you saying like the church was wrong.
Yeah.
pretty much,
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
They
people
had a lot of power back
Mhm.
then.
a lot. Yes,
and you can kind of still
That's pretty
see, I guess, similar like behavior. Like I think
Mhm.
where very defensive beliefs in like one's own notion of the universe, right? But it could be totally proven wrong by science, you know. Yeah. So I guess,
like,
you know,
I don't know. I feel like when you're like, how you see the world is very whatchamacallit, like, I don't know. You feel like you're small in the world sometimes. You feel
I guess
small.
maybe with that depends
Pale
on that
blue
perspective.
dot.
But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
I
when
don't
you
know,
know
Yeah.
you're
I
in the
feel like I'm
universe.
small
Yeah,
sometimes,
look
like,
up
I
the
feel
hey,
tiny.
Eric. Quickly look up the
What's up?
picture. Pale blue dot.
Oh yeah,
It's a great
What is
photo.
that?
great picture. Yeah.
What is it about? What is it? What's the picture of?
Photograph of Earth taken by NASA's Voyager 1
Oh.
spacecraft on February 14th, 1990, from a distance of 3.7 billion miles. It just shows
Yeah.
us as a tiny little speck. Really makes you feel small
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're just boop.
Yep. I think I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that most of the universe is space, and like a
Yeah.
little bit is matter. So
Yeah.
like,
A lot
I
of
think the
emphasis.
calculation is something like 99.99% of the universe is actually space, and like there's only like a fraction of matter, and within that matter, so if you have an atom is mostly comprised of space.
80% of the
on the
volume
atomic
is
level.
void, and only about 5% is made up of ordinary matter.
Oh, okay. So it's closer to 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it's all the dark matter,
Think
whatever.
about like space travel and like Star Trek and shit, and then, like, I really want that to happen.
Well,
I wanna see
that's
space,
the
man.
plan. If
I want to
Mhm.
see space.
if we don't want to just live here, if we want to continue onwards, yeah, we got to build crafts like that. It'll start off as a slow
I don't
thing,
know. I just
you know, because like I think right now it's like what, a 9-month trip to Mars.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep,
I think.
something like that. It's getting closer though.
Yeah, but yeah,
Getting faster.
as so long as we keep having science and funding towards that type of research, yeah, it'll just get better and better.
Mhm.
So right now, rich people can go to space, and pretty soon, you know, it could be 100 years, could be 500 years, but eventually that will become commercial, and then there will
Yeah.
be commercial space travel.
That'd be fun.
Probably vacations on the moon, or rich people
Ooh.
will only live on the moon.
I do
However,
think that
Dude,
multiplanetary is really good.
I don't
That one
think
movie.
they can't own the moon because we already have a law in place. Nobody can own something in space. Yeah, you can have a
Why
star
not?
named after you, but you do not own that star. That is not your star. That is the universe's star.
What if you went to that star and you put a flag in that star?
So if you were to go somewhere and
burn.
basically put in a
Yeah, if you can
I mean,
survive.
If you could
we
survive on
don't
this planet,
have laws in place for that yet, I believe, because I think
you wouldn't even survive. You'd be there for
Yeah, evaporated. Yeah, dude.
little
It's
time.
so incredibly hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, you know what's funny? We have locations on Earth that can produce conditions that are hotter than the sun.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
Hello.
Power of science, technology. We also
Okay,
have I
so
think the coldest place in the universe too.
if you were to basically like claim a planet, which would go against the international law, which is no nation and therefore no individual can legally claim ownership of a planet or any part of it. What would happen? No
What if you
legal
live on it?
recognition. You would not be recognized. There would be no
What if
enforcement
you-
of your claim to prevent others from accessing or using the planet. And
What if
potential for
you-
conflict. You could essentially be causing a sort of tension.
What if you made your own nation on a planet?
That wouldn't be allowed either.
Yeah, you just legally wouldn't be recognized. I mean, if you were to somehow develop a force strong enough, you could declare war, basically, or offering basically either recognize us or we're going to war.
Dude, that'd be like a crazy book, fictional story where like you got this rogue guy who goes out into space and like he claims a planet and like
that is
it's
one of
against
my
the
short-
norm, right?
That
The
is one of
universe.
my
Fighting
Yeah.
against the universe, that would be crazy.
And then he just like he makes this planet his and he starts like crafting and he starts making these robots and he's like his robots make robots and he starts building and building.
I have a short
It's
story
just
I'm
like-
writing that's kind of like that. A guy ends up crashing on a planet where there's a very simplistic alien life form species, and he just becomes a tyrannical king.
Oh wow.
Like
Jeez.
it makes them like fight
Wow.
each
They're like, it
other.
must be a
He
sign.
murders them. It's very fun. They're basically like, think of a human toddler but an alien. It's not a fun time.
No mind.
So it's just a tiny little Martian, size of a baby.
Yep. And then full-grown human ends up there, and they basically are like, "Oh, he came from the stars. He's a type of god to us." And it's basically a short story exploring the corruption of power when you're given absolute power. When you are actually in the position of a god-like being.
Mhm.
You're stronger,
Yo,
you're faster.
Here's
you're
a
able to do
philosophical
more
thought.
and think more than what these things can do.
Yo. I got a
I
question
wonder if
for
he
y'all.
starts a family with at least one of them.
That's what I believe our aliens in the universe are. They're not advanced. The ones that were advanced wiped themselves out long ago.
So, okay. I think aliens could definitely exist. I think the space is huge. Space is massive, right? And we've already located plenty of Goldilocks planets.
Yeah, I definitely think that aliens can exist, just not the gray aliens that we think of. None of the stuff that you see, or humanoid even. They would be more, I think they're more like animals in a sense.
There could be at least a single,
Definitely a
uh,
single cellular organism.
single cellular.
There definitely has to be
planet
some
type
out
life,
there.
right?
I am
Right.
99.
But multicellular is a little bit more complex.
9% sure
so.
that is the case. And if there are
Right.
anything more complex, they're more of just small animals. There's nothing as intelligent as us. That's what I believe. Just in terms of the timeline
Yeah.
of the universe and stuff. And the Nomu, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, approached a great filter.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
we're not
great
getting
filter,
any
yeah.
sort of signs from them anymore, so they probably nuked themselves or something.
The what?
So there's a tribe called the Dogon tribe that was visited long ago by these aliens called the Nomu, which are basically like frog-like humanoids that come from the Sirius system. So back then we thought Sirius was a single star system. They were like, no, there's actually 3 stars in this tribe, which is like out in the woods, basic tribe. They knew about cells, that we were made up of these smaller things and atoms and molecules and all this stuff. They're like, yeah, we were visited by these aliens and we have a tradition every year celebrating these aliens. And essentially, we now have confirmed that that system is a 3-star system, which they told us back when we believed it to be a single-star system. So there has to be some truth there. But there's also speculation that these scientists and researchers that interviewed them had also maybe poisoned what they wrote about, that they, claim that these people knew about it even though they didn't. But that's also speculation.
What's the source?
Interesting.
It's the Dogon people. I think it's the Science of the Dogon, decoding the African mystery tradition.
That was in Africa?
Yes.
Hmm.
Visitors from Sirius, Chronicles of the Dogon Star. Yes. Their knowledge of Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye, and the theories of extraterrestrial contact and ancient astronauts that have emerged from their traditions.
It kind of sounds like Digimon.
The Dogomon. Dogomon.
Serious, go. Digivolve to
Digivolve. So yeah, about space. So we started kind of at, some space philosophy, but also we learn more about space all the time, every day.
Yeah.
More and more data collection and imaging is recorded, and so it's pretty cool to at least acknowledge technology and its capability of being able to take these wonderful pictures, and all the people dedicated to forwarding technology in history and today. I think it's all pretty wonderful, actually, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to accept in a kind of a world we live in where there's a lot of conflict and there's so much beauty as well. And yeah, it's just, you want to see more science, you want to see more awesome stuff. Let's see. Yeah, our understanding of the universe is ever adapting. So
yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Especially with the James Webb telescope.
Absolutely. And I like to see the new technology being produced to create such imaging and data recording is pretty phenomenal. So we're learning more and more about where we are, and here's a cool thought. This is kind of cool. I thought about this the other day. If there really was a Big Bang would also imply it came from a point. So if we could measure the shape, if we could somehow measure the shape of the observable universe, right? Maybe we could find the center point or the origin from that shape. Kind of cool. Anyway. It's also interesting to think about the fundamental laws of physics and nature exist throughout the universe, right?
Alex,
I said,
you want to explain stars to them?
stars? Sure. I mean, I can do my best, right? So, stars are pretty massive celestial objects. And when a celestial object kind of reaches a certain size threshold, oftentimes all that mass and the gravitation creates a perfect condition for things like fusion reaction. Because of I believe it's for the gravitational field influencing the mass within the star. So it's a big ball of plasma, and as we know, we have a couple different states of matter. We have, the obvious gaseous state. We have liquids, which are fun and fluid, and we have our dense solids at varying densities. And then, of course, you have plasma, which is kind of, in its nature, it will kind of scatter away. But if you can contain it, then, it can contain it. So with enough gravity, that's kind of what is happening. You have this plasma with a lot of energy trying to go in all directions, but since it can only go in the direction of gravity influencing, which is towards the center of the star, is what is keeping it from going outwardly. And some stuff makes it outward despite, that's why we see solar flares, because enough energy was able to escape, and the magnetic field of a star is quite a lot. So more mass you gain, the more magnetic field usually. So there's a lot that's kind of happening, interacting within a star. There's a lot of motion. There's a lot of things at play, but fusion is where there's so much force happening that the nuclei are able to go, I believe, beyond the strong force and fuse together. The strong force being the proton or the neutron, being able to. Well, the electron's kind of the outer thing, and since it's a plasma, it's mostly like just these kind of free protons, neutrons,
Alexa,
mostly.
I didn't ask you.
Alexa, oh man, robots are taking over. Oh, anyway, sorry.
Sorry, what were you saying?
But yeah, tremendous gravity in suns. It's very interesting to kind of think of these forces happening at play, and it's also in a sun. You create a more dense and dense mass as you get to the center, and the larger the sun, the more gravity, the more density, and you can actually over a sun's lifespan, you can actually add more and more mass, and again, you'll get more and more mass in a created area. So when you collect more and more mass, interesting things begin to happen because you have gravity, which is normally thought of in the scientific field as like a kind of a weak force. But if you collect enough mass together, it becomes like, obviously really big, but it's just one of the weakest forces there is. So anyway, there's a lot to be learned about solar masses, and but when you get more massive objects, you can get greater and greater fusion, and you can get more dense elements from the periodic table. So that's where you can get things like iron in the heart of a star.
Heart of the star.
Yeah.
Zach, Eric, do you guys know what happens if we get hit by a solar flare?
No.
No.
You want to take a guess?
The world explodes.
No, we've been hit by one before. I think back in the 1800s?
Probably.
Oh,
Early
no.
1800s. But essentially it kills all electronics.
I knew
Oof.
that.
So if we were hit by a big enough one that was able to get through our defenses, all of our cars would stop working, computers would
This
be
podcast
bricked.
would stop working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything would just go down. It would be so much work and time to get back to normal. There'd be a lot of deaths because people in hospitals, no more power.
Right.
Unless, I don't even think the backup generators can even work at that point. It's just what the solar
fries
flare
everything.
does. Yeah, it basically
Mhm.
electronically fries everything.
It's just an EMP. Bomb.
Yep,
World
Earth-sized EMP. And that's something that could happen to the Earth. The sun will also eventually grow much larger and end up swallowing the Earth. That's
Yeah,
in
like,
what,
however long, I forget.
5 to 7 million?
Couple million, yeah, couple million.
7.59 billion years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 5 billion years, 7. Yep. However,
thing-
Earth will become uninhabitable in 1.3 billion years because of the sun's increasing brightness.
Interesting. But yeah, luminosity, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to add one more thing too. We have our Earth to thanks for having such a massive iron core, because it is, I think, that iron core that creates such a magnetic field, and it's because of that magnetic field is our sort of first defense against solar flares. So these solar flares are quite detrimental. If they're large enough, they can be very, very terrifying, because it could be something like, no problem, we just get a light show in the form of aurora borealis, and maybe we got a little bit of electromagnetic disruption fields, and some of our power goes down. But it could also be solar flare and goodbye human civilization. So we're talking about the sun, which is very, very fiery and intense and hot. Very hot.
And very orange, very yellow.
So
Alex, you want to delve into more existential dread things? Things that will basically end us?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, what do you have in mind?
I have a random thought. If
Yeah.
the sun is shining light onto the world, is the ocean reflecting the sky to make it more brighter blue?
Sort of, yeah.
Is really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the atmosphere is a certain content, and because of those elemental contents of the atmosphere, it reflects light in a certain way because it is a medium, and you can think of like a medium as like, so like the vacuum of space would be not I guess a perfect medium, or like a medium where there's no friction because there's no matter, right? So the second you add matter, the type of matter matters, right? So if I have something like fog or like water, I think light through a water medium goes much slower than light through air atmosphere. So
Yeah.
just kind of depending where the light is coming in and refracting, and also the types of things in the atmosphere will determine the type of color, I believe. So yeah. And I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So
Hey, that's fair enough.
So
yes. Any other questions?
yeah.
No, I'm good.
In terms of what can end the Earth, I was also thinking of the Great Filter.
A grape filter.
Hello?
Grape soda.
No. The Great Filter, yeah. Just kind of like natural disaster events that could happen that would weed out life from surviving a long term.
It's basically the idea that once we achieve a certain point of advancement, we wipe ourselves out. And the most common theory of that right now would be the nuclear weapons we have. If we were to detonate those, bye-bye.
Sure.
Because of the fallout and radiation. I mean, any humans that are able to survive that would have to start all the way back from the beginning. It's basically the Stone Age and whatever they can scavenge.
Yeah, I think it's at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but I think for me, I acknowledge life's importance, and like I think there's something to be said about human life and maybe the importance of human life, regardless of like kind of circumstances. I think people can
Especially
be.
since we haven't found any other life like us out there.
Well, I would say just people are interesting at the least, right?
Right.
So you want to keep something that's interesting safe, I would think, rather than trying to destroy everything that's interesting. Maybe. Anyway, I just think we should keep things interesting in the world.
For sure.
So
If it's not nukes that are the great filter, the next probable one is AI becoming so advanced and it basically decides that we need to go.
Yeah, that'd be
Right.
crazy.
That'd be scary, man.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I think if that were the case, by the way, if that were a scenario that would happen and could happen, I don't think personally I don't think humans would stand a chance. Sorry, humans.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, I've seen a lot of like Black Mirror shit, and like that shit's freaky.
Holy crap!
New season coming out this year.
Oh,
For what?
really?
Mm-hmm. Black Mirror. We're also getting a second
Oh, really?
part to
Black Mirror's so
We're also getting a
good.
second part to the USS McAllister.
Oh, yeah, this McAllister, yeah.
Yep, we're getting a second part to that, and then 5 other stories. It's going to be 6 episodes.
No.
That's cool.
Damn. That's really cool. Dude, I love that show.
Pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's really interesting. For sure.
April 10th, it drops.
Not too far from now.
Yep, I'm hyped. I'm mostly hyped for Alice in Borderland Season 3 later this year.
I gotta rewatch all that shit.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Yo, it's Bella.
You don't even have to. Because each episode is
I want
like its
to.
own.
I want to.
They are good, though. They're really good.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one is White Christmas.
White person.
Dude, that one's
Dude,
so
I think my favorite one
good.
is the one with the Miley Cyrus one.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks good. With the
Ashley,
doll
Jack, and I.
Yeah. Yeah. That one looks good. Or the one where they're in the the dream world or whatever.
The Dream World.
Yeah, like what the fuck was it? Or
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
no, the one where they're by the beach. I think it's like Santa.
Shut up. Shut up, Alex.
What?
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
It took you a minute to realize he said that.
What happened in that episode, Eric?
They were in this arcade and they were trying to beat this player. And then these two women, they're like gay or some shit, and they meet in this arcade. And then they have a whole life together or some shit. Like
Oh, San,
Saint Arena?
Sandman.
something like that. San Junipero.
Yeah, San Junipero. That one was really good too.
Yeah, that was really
Or the
interesting.
one where it's all in gray and like.
I believe that one was called Jug something.
Yeah, that one was good too. Or the one with
Juggernaut.
the 2 players. Yeah, the 2 players.
Fighting Vipers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one was also really good.
with the guy who is now Iron Man, I guess. Not Iron Man, Captain America.
Yeah.
He's
And-
Captain America now.
He is Captain America in the game. getting it on as Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology in the future is very scary, but that's one of the reasons why I really like Black Mirror, because it kind of just explores those topics and ideas.
Yeah.
Although the one in season 7, the episode season 6 episode Demon 79. Like it was a fun premise, but I don't think it really fit into the whole idea of Black Mirror.
I think my favorite one from Black Mirror was the VR one. That one was so cool.
The guy that
Yeah.
had to playing that game,
Yeah, as a test subject.
and and in all reality, he like died in 1 second.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
It's screaming, "Mom, mom!" I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's
And that was
also
the first.
I
That
thought
was the
whoever
first
played that
episode
guy
my brother
did a good
introduced me
job.
to.
Dude, I think my favorite.
0.4 seconds.
Hang the DJ. Hang the DJ. Do you remember that one?
Yes, dude.
That's my favorite. Or Metalhead. Metalhead is good too.
Metalhead is also really good. I think what was it called? White Bear was also really good.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Or Shut Up and Dance, bro. You remember that one?
Huh?
Shut up and dance.
Shut Up and Dance.
Yes, dude. Shut Up and Dance was bro. Got arrested
Yeah.
because the guy's just a massive, insane troll.
What was the one where this guy that does comedy and plays as a bear persona?
Oh yeah. He runs for
Eventually,
office.
yeah, he was trying. They made him run for office, and yeah, he didn't want it to be that way. They were basically taking control of his character.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Or do Love, Death, and Robots. That shit's fucking fire. Too.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
I believe
Oh,
we're also getting a
I've been
season of
wanting
that
some of
this
that.
year.
Oh damn. We're
Yep.
feasting this time.
Yep. I love that show. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love how different each of the episodes are. Like different art style and different ideas. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I feel like Demon 79 would have fit in. All right, what's next on the list? Oh yeah. The Big Rip, Big Crunch, Big Freeze, Heat Death.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I tend to take the heat death thermodynamics. So I think in a long time, I believe it's the second law of thermodynamics that states essentially entropy exists and it's ever increasing. So that means that in a state of order and structure, that energy structure will eventually dissipate and become more diffuse over time within a vacuum. So if we take that quite literally, extrapolate that to the rest of the universe, things like black holes and Hawking radiation, which we can cover more in, will eventually leave in, I think it's like 10 to the 50 years or something. It's I think that's one with like 50 zeros after it. Amount of time in years would be how long it would take. It's a ridiculous amount of time, but known as the heat death of the universe, where essentially there's basically no more matter because it's all been eaten up by black holes that have gathered and decimated over long times. But yeah, that's one interpretation of the end of the universe, kind of like a slow, eventual dissipation. So,
Isn't that like at the edge of the universe, just like a black hole?
No.
No.
well, no, we don't. I mean,
The
universe is
the
said to be
concept of the
ever-expanding.
edge of the universe is kind of a wild one because the idea is imagine you could walk like to the edge of the universe and you have like a rock and you throw that rock past that point. There's nothing in that void to put that rock back, so you would just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But the universe is currently expanding faster than the speed of light, so
Mm-hmm.
what we're able to
the
see is
speed
getting
of the
smaller
universe
and
expanding.
smaller. So what we're able to see in the observable universe is becoming smaller and smaller. We're seeing less and less. And that's what, and if that continues before heat death, that's what we call the big rip.
Right.
Because essentially what will happen is everything keeps expanding and expanding, and eventually, guess what? We start not seeing stars in the sky anymore because they're past our observable point. And that observable limit will get smaller and smaller. Eventually, we will no longer see any stars or galaxies. And then we'll stop seeing our planets. Then we'll stop seeing the sun, then our moon. And then literally what could happen is you just get torn apart at the atomic level. Because the observable universe is basically now pulling you all apart.
Mm-hmm.
So big rip.
To delve a little bit deeper into that, essentially, the scientists say that the expanding universe is ever expanding at ever increasing rate, which is the thing that Brian is alluding to, essentially saying that it's not just increasing at a certain stagnant rate. No, this rate is actually increasing over time, and we don't know. I guess we don't really have a calculation for how fast it's increasing, maybe. But we try to maybe estimate a speed of the increase of the rate of the universe. But yeah, it's kind of spooky to think about because then, you have, if this thing truly is increasing over time, the rate of the expansion maybe could expand faster than the speed of light. And the speed of light is pretty fast. So for it to reach that speed, it would take some time. So who knows how much time? Essentially said, eventually you have the big rip where space is just ever expanding so fast that light doesn't really make sense at that point. So and again, I guess I want to talk about light a little bit, just because it is kind of elusive. But a photon or light is created from collisions of particles, collisions of atoms. There's a chance there's a photon that is emitted. So a photon can be emitted or absorbed by other.
We also emit photons. We also emit light, but it's so dim we can't see it. But we do emit light.
I think anything that technically has like an energy content emits some sort of photonic energy. But I'll have to look more into that. It's pretty. The universe is pretty interesting and dynamic. So there's a lot to it.
Then there's also the Big Crunch.
Right. Yeah.
That is essentially like the universe stops expanding and reverses, and it starts pushing everything together.
Right.
And it pushes everything back together into a really hot, dense point, and then boom, another big bang, and that's called bounce, the big bounce. And people believe that, yes, and people that believe in that do believe that this is not the first time the universe has been created. It's been through several bounces already.
You think so?
It's a theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. I mean, just
Hard
like
to
last
say.
Thursday.
We do know that
you
it is
know.
expanding,
Yeah,
so-
it's currently expanding. We don't have any evidence
and it's
that
been
it's going back.
it's been expanding for a while, and it's expanding faster.
What's the
so-
one theory that there's these bubbles that form where physics act different in the universe, and then those bubbles start expanding? But yeah, essentially, it's
Fluctuation
possible
in the
that
universe.
we wouldn't even notice it coming, and once it does, everything that we know physics wise would be different. It would act different. We could just potentially die.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, in the observable universe, it's pretty safe to say that all forms of standard physics and modern physics kind of apply to the rest of the universe. It, of course, changes, depending on what kind of
I think
surface you're
what
on,
brings
but-
that up are quantum fluctuations.
Yeah, I suppose. But
Is that
Oh, yeah?
something
For the
bad
most part-
happens and it starts a chain reaction.
Mhm.
But
I
I
mean,
forget
chemical chain
exactly. It was a
reactions are
while ago
definitely
when I watched a video about it.
Oh, when
But,
you were
yeah.
the last time we were watching it, we were gonna do this. Was it that video?
What?
Was it that video that you were watching the last time we were gonna do this about the universe?
No. That was about animals and meat.
Oh,
Yeah.
what was it by that guy? That YouTube channel?
Kurt Sagat's. I think it might have been.
That's what it was.
Alex, speaking of physics,
Yeah.
you want to talk about physics being the way they are? Like, why do you think physics act the way they do?
Why do you think physics is physics?
I mean,
What
I
makes
guess.
physics physics?
Yeah, like, what are the
What makes this?
what are the chances that everything works the way it does?
Why do things work the way they do?
Yeah, like why is
Gee,
there
man.
gravity? Why is there?
I look, man. I'm not God, so I don't
Alright.
know why it exists.
Okay.
I just know
thought
that it does
would be-
exist.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. That's all science really can do, is that it says, "Hey, I observed this thing. It happens. I don't know why it happens, but it happens, man." Right?
But isn't
Fair.
science the whole
Okay, we can
pursuit of
move on to the
finding
next
why it
topic then. That is definitely a hard question. I just thought it might be a fun thing to talk about, but yeah, it is just hard to answer any
There's a
questions
certain-
about it.
Well, I mean, there's a certain philosophy about
Well, yeah,
what
you know.
constitutes reality and
Yeah.
physics. Why is physics fundamental to reality? What if physics were to change tomorrow? Like, what if gravity was lighter tomorrow than it is today,
Right.
fundamentally across all the universe? It's like just wild.
We have zero gravity.
Yeah, I mean, if gravity were at a variance difference by X amount, it would we'd probably either our particles would disperse away and we'd be gone, or be too tightly collided and we'd
Nanosnap.
be too dense. Yeah, like so it's kind of at the perfect medium for life and for stuff to happen.
All right. Do you, Eric, Zach, are you guys interested in time travel? What if I told you time travel is possible?
I
That'd
would
be
be
cool.
very interested.
Have you guys seen the movie Interstellar?
Yeah,
Yes.
dude, that movie is awesome.
It's a good movie.
That is scientifically correct.
Cool.
So if we were capable to get close to a black hole and, be able to survive, the gravity stretches time. So
Yep.
you could only ever go in the future. But what I think is really cool about it is you're like, well, you're in this, you're close to this black hole, but 100 years passed on Earth. Why are you not 100 years older? Well, that's because your biological clock actually matches up to that gravitational pull of that space-time. So years happen on Earth, but only 1 second has passed for you right there. That is true. Your biological clock is basically processing all that time as 1
Time
second.
differently.
Yeah.
It just
So you would then come out, you would only have aged a few seconds, and you go back, and everyone you know is now gone, dead.
Yeah.
Earth is more
That's
advanced now and all
crazy.
that. I think that's really cool.
Well, it's based on Einstein's relativity. So it's saying that your speed is determinant distance over time, right? So when you are moving at a certain speed, your time or your distance have to, be constant, fluctuated with that. So
Faster you go,
someone
the
going
less
someone going
time
fast,
flies.
it will distort the amount of time it takes to get to certain distances.
Yeah, we've even done it here on Earth. I believe it was someone in like a really fast fighter jet or something, but they had 2 watches on each of them, and the guy that went in this jet, it was very minuscule amount of time, but there was a different amount of time that had passed for each. The guy that came
Well-
back, his watch was at I believe, an earlier time than the person that was keeping track on the ground.
You guys want to know a fun fact, actually?
Yes, I love
So-
fun facts. They're fun.
Photons, it's weird because they exist at the speed of light. So, like, you can kind of slow them down, but you can never really stop, like a photon. It's kind of weird. But here's the cool thing, is if you were to be the perspective of the photon, you would actually experience things as though, okay, you would be emitted, but the same moment that you're emitted and created, you are also absorbed back in that same moment. So the second you're created, you're also destroyed. That's your perspective as a photon's life. So you basically have no perception of life as a photon. You're just born and then you die instantly.
Yep.
It's kind of wild. But
Alex, would you like to explain how planets are formed? And what would meet perfect conditions?
Right. So, like, yeah, you get a collection of particles, and yeah, you get mass that's large enough but not sun-sized, but it has to be decently massive, because it just needs to be to support life, especially if your end goal is life. That is what we're looking for. But there's all sorts of cool, interesting planets that are unique in their own right, where you can notice they have different collections of molecules, and you can see the differences in their composition. So Earth's composition is quite unique, and each Earth's and each planet's composition is unique to that planet. So getting, the type of unique elements we have here on life, on planet Earth, is pretty interesting. So we kind of have a lot of fun we can do on this planet with the certain unique elements and metals that we have at our disposal. So you say maybe, like, what are the chances of this happening? Well, you got to be able to be in a certain Goldilocks zone, a habitable zone for life, and you also need to be able to have multicellular life, be able to develop, and this would include these life to be able to, I guess, adapt to their environment in a similar way, but also be able to get energy, because energy is the main thing that life is kind of about, is gaining energy and maintaining energy from life, for movement, so you can move, so you can go do action, and that's kind of the way it is. And so it's kind of fun, this transferring of energy through time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's kind of the main points. Yeah. Anything I missed? Let me know.
No. I think it's interesting how, like, because like when the universe started, like everything was very chaotic.
Sure.
And like we had all these things slamming into each other, and the Earth was like this giant, just molten rock, just kind of in space, beginning to revolve around this sun that has just begun. And then a huge asteroid hit us, and a large chunk broke off, which is now the moon. And then you also have to think about, well, how did life start, And even though, I believe that God created it, I believe he created it through a scientific lens. The Big Bang he caused to happen. Evolution he caused to happen. But that's just what I believe. We're not here to talk about that or debate it or whatever. But, like, you would have to get these molecules that are able to, like, come together to form new molecules that eventually, over millions and millions of years, eventually become a living thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just really interesting to think about, like, what, because that means that there are ingredients that you can add together to create life.
Yeah.
You can also think about DNA in this context. Isn't it fascinating that DNA and RNA exists?
Yeah,
just kind of like,
especially
it's
when
there.
it doesn't exist in inanimate objects. This table, I can
Right.
take a syringe, but I'm not going to extract any DNA. So it's weird that DNA also came from basically nothing as well.
It's pretty interesting.
It's
Yeah.
very
But I would say
fascinating.
also, it's certain chemical and molecular compositions, right? That somehow structured in an intellectual manner. Yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of mystery.
Eric, Zach, any more questions?
Nope.
No? No questions?
No.
All right. Alex, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why is a second a second?
Wow. Why isn't a second a second? Okay,
Let's talk
so
about the concepts of time.
yeah, I mean, well, in reality, right? There really is no time, right?
Right.
Time is a construct.
Yeah.
Um, there's the ever present, which is the now,
We wish we had
right
time.
here, right now, in this moment.
Time from
But I
work.
can't ever really touch it because it's ever flowing. So it's like the minute I try to grab it, the minute it's gone. Anyway, but you can try to plan for future events, and that whole happens. But then you're constructing kind of like already a plan or a framework for time, or how you want to do time, events in time. And then you start to create structure, and then you maybe need units for time to like divvy it up. So you can use useful things like days. It's kind of nice to be able to, okay, sun's up, it's day. Sun's down, it's night. That's cool. But then also like maybe hours, like it can be more definitive unit of time, so you can be even closer to what you might desire. You can find a location in time and meet at that location and that time to do things.
Yeah.
But if you have just locations and no time, well, you don't know. I mean, you don't know how to do it. If you just have a time, no location, well, it's still nothing, right?
Right.
Anyway.
And we created time just as more of a measurement and record keeping tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I try to not give time too much power. Yeah.
Right.
But
Because like I just think it's crazy just how time is different in all parts of the universe because it's affected by gravity.
well, space.
Well,
Space and time.
Space-time.
Space and time. So yeah, you change the space, you change the time. You change the time, you change the space, essentially. So yeah.
The fabric
But
of space-time.
right.
Alex, what are your thoughts on parallel universes? I'll also open this up to Eric and Zach. What are your thoughts on parallel universes?
I think they're
Or
real.
do you want me to elaborate more?
I think that's really cool. So like
I think there's the
there
one
potentially
reality
could
right
have I mean this would be the prime universe that we're in right now. This is my theory. We're in the prime universe, but then there is one side where it's like hey, I'm doing extremely well. How well? I'm like I'm in my I'm in my highest, I guess you could say it. But then there's another parallel universe where I'm just in the lows, something like that. Like I
Do you
have
think there's
nothing.
three? Only three?
No, there could be more than that hypothetically,
Oh.
but I'm just providing some examples. But
Oh, okay, okay. I got you. I got you.
either that,
Yeah.
and they could take and these universes could take place in like completely different utopias or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the concept of parallel universes is just like it's based off the whole concept of like choice. So, this morning you're gonna have cereal, but you have two different cereals. So you grab let's say Captain Crunch, and you pour that. Well, now there's a new parallel universe that spawned where you chose the Lucky Charms.
Yep. So
I
it's
wa-
ever unfolding.
Yep. I like to think like because if you truly have free will, that means there would be basically infinite parallel universes.
Yeah.
And there's just one where you just decide to throw to the wind everything. You just strip down naked, you start streaking, you're setting fires, you're
What's crazy?
stealing stuff.
What if your parallel universe choice fits with somebody else's parallel universe choice? Is that combined to make one parallel universe, or is it two different parallel universes?
I believe a parallel universe would only spawn if there was a choice made that doesn't correlate to that doesn't match up to all the other choices made to the same outcome. If that makes sense. So like even if you chose the two different cereals, I mean, the sugars in that and what they're made of and what they contain are both different. So those do have eventual longer term effects with how your body metabolizes it and how much energy it gives you and how much you poured and how much of it you had. So, I mean, it really becomes a messy concept when you think about it. But it only spawns when it's like, okay, something happened and this outcome doesn't match anything else that could have happened. So, new parallel universe where now this thing happened.
You don't know.
Alternate universes. I think alternate universes are different.
What I had been explaining.
Are different from parallel universes, in my opinion.
Right.
Because parallel universe is
technically-
basically everything's the same, just there's different choices. I mean, yeah, there's
parallel
possibly a
if you
universe where
think
there's
about
nothing.
It, depending on the choice you made, it still creates an alternate universe, but it's parallel to that universe.
Yeah, because I mean, I think, mathematically, if everything in the universe follows math and it all started the same, eventually everything would have a starting point with us before, choices developed, which would cause that spawning. An alternate dimension is just a alternate universe where everything is different. Like the upside down in Stranger Things, as an example. That could be an example of an alternate universe.
Yeah.
It's different. Or do you have any of you seen VHS 2?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember the guy that opened that portal?
Yep.
To that alternate dimension? Yeah. That's an alternate dimension because they're these weird monster things that participate in very strange rituals.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah.
fucking love VHS.
It's such a good series. I've only seen the first two. I
Dude,
should watch the other ones.
there's 5 others.
I know.
You know what? That's it. That should be our first movie night. Eric, Alex, have you guys seen VHS or VHS 2?
I can't say I have, no.
It's really good.
Yes.
I definitely
Okay,
recommend
that's
it.
going to be our movie nights. We're going to watch all the VHSs because there's
Oh,
going to
when
be
is
a
that
new one.
happening, by the way?
There's a new
When's
one
the
coming
movie
out.
night happen? Oh, is there really?
Yeah, there's a new VHS coming out. So there's going to be 8 movies.
These guys don't stop.
Nope. So just so you guys know, VHS, it's not like, oh, I have to watch all 7 movies to understand the 8th. No. VHS is an anthology.
It's non-linear. Yeah.
Yep, non-linear. It basically each movie,
Pulp
these people
Fiction.
find these VHS tapes and start watching them. And on all of these VHS tapes are very, very weird things. If you guys want a quick taste, look VHS Ratma.
The slashes, by the way. So like V. Wait.
Ratma.
Right.
Ratma. Or
Yeah,
Ratman.
V/H/S.
Here, I'll share it with you guys because it's fun. This is what you can expect from VHS.
That was from the first one, or what?
This is from VHS 94.
Oh, I hadn't seen this.
Yeah, so that's like a monster that exists.
It looks like Aaron Yeager.
It kind of does.
You can also expect this.
Five Nights at Freddy's moment. Ooh,
It looks like the spider from Toy Story.
the spider?
The spider baby.
That looks
Dude,
fine, look at the frame.
this stuff could just go so hard.
Imagine Five Nights at Freddy's and VHS combined. That'd be actually really
That
funny, but
exists.
It'll be really cool. Does it actually?
Yes, have you not heard of the Afton Files?
The Afton Files?
Yes, look up the Afton Files right now. It is literally VHS Freddy.
The Afton Files.
Or if you're talking about a game that's in a VHS style, that also exists. You just have to look it up.
Crown Pixel. Popular. That's all the author. Where the frick?
How much longer do you guys want to talk?
I mean, I'm good to wrap.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. Any final afterthoughts?
Oh, dude, we should definitely do that Interstellar.
What?
Sure.
We should watch that.
Go watch.
We should watch VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, VHS. Yeah, for sure.
That's an afterthought. Do we have any cheap shots?
Cheap shots. Like 99-cent shooter shots or like what?
No.
Hot take shots?
Hang on. That's like
Anyway.
remarker action.
A what?
That,
What the hell are you
Never-
talking about, boy?
never mind.
Oh, okay. Anyway, links to places you can find us will be down below in the description, so be sure to check those out. If you have any questions for us or fan mail that you wish to send us, Alex has set up a Gmail account that you can send those emails to. That will also be linked down below. It is snazzyyogi at gmail.com. That'll be down below, so you don't need to worry about how to spell it because it'll be right there. I make videos, so my YouTube channel will be linked. I also do some music, that'll be linked. Zach does music, that'll be linked. Eric does music, that'll be linked. Alex has a bare bone YouTube channel, that'll be linked. So go
You
give
can
him
send
a
fan
bunch
mail
of
to Alex.
subscribers.
Wait, I didn't know I had a YouTube channel. I
Yeah,
forgot.
We'd have,
yeah, you do.
you could, yeah, you could send porn to
What?
Alex or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can
guess.
send them
I guess I have an
viruses.
account, right?
You can send them Trojan horse viruses, like, go for it, catfish
Yeah,
him.
I'm sure he would really appreciate that.
He would. He'd be eternally
It's a
grateful.
little present for him.
No.
So yeah, all that will be linked down below. If you did like what we did, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our second episode. Leave a like and comment if you so desire. Anything else, guys?
Don't leave me viruses or I'll find you. That's it.
All right. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
You have a good one, y'all.
Please.